at all because of your differences, particularly your age.
Well, I don't see too many people critical about it. Look at this.
Whole crowd.
Ha, 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 ha.
Critics, I mean.
Excuse me?
Critics,
Critics.
people in the
Who?
industry.
Tell me who. Name it somebody.
Name them.
Folks.
You? Who?
No, folks.
No,
who
not
say
me.
it. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thanks.
I'm going to run that back. He said, who are the critics? Name a fucking critic. Who? She says, folks who said it. Thanks. He said, thanks. Check this out.
Who say it? Thanks.
Who? Tell me who. Name it somebody.
Folks.
You? Who?
No.
Folks.
Folks who say it. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thanks.
All right, we're gonna pull up another clip. We're gonna kind of run these down. We'll pull up another clip of a reporter more or less saying the same thing. Now, it's not. You would think that Tyson is the most skilled guy in terms of these media things. He's been doing it for 40 fucking years at this point. But the young Padawan, the young Skywalker and Jake Paul, he does a little judo. Okay, reporters tries to
a little jujitsu from Jake Paul.
Oh yes,
He's a lot sharper than we think.
Oh, you know your judo well. A succulent Chinese meal. This guy tries to hit Jake with a succulent Chinese meal, and Jake does not. He does not go for it. He takes the meal, sends it to Mike, and Mike fucking eats his lunch. Check this out.
Questions for Jake. Jake, you say you want to be a serious boxer and you want to be a contender and be a title holder. So then when in your career are you going to actually fight a contender in your weight class and not do gimmick fights?
I think he just...
we're going to pause it right here. Okay? He says, when are you going to fight an actual contender in your weight class and not do gimmick fights? Most fighters, I swear, would Jake... Watch the jiu-jitsu. We'll run this right back. It's a very quick clip.
Jake, you say you want to be a serious boxer and you want to be a contender and be a title holder. So then when in your career are you going to actually fight a contender in your weight class and not do gimmick fights?
I think he just called Mike Tyson a gimmick.
What did you just call me again?
I didn't call you anything.
What did you call me?
Look at the
I
eyes.
didn't call you anything.
How fast did that reporter, did that reporter turn around and say, I didn't call you anything. I didn't call you anything.
Bro, can we get the single shot on me for a second? Because I do want to talk to the people about this. That is a pivotal moment in the promotion of this fight, ladies and gentlemen. That is the moment when we saw Mike Tyson is fucking serious, bro. And Mike Tyson being serious at any age, an elite heavyweight would want nothing to fucking do with this guy. First off, that's a very retarded question. That's a very mid-wit question. Let's go back to me and you, Jake, because I want to talk to you about this. A question like that is very mid-wit because it's like you kind of get it. Oh, Jake Paul, he's like the YouTube boxer guy. He beat up the MMA fighters, and he's never had a real fight. So like that's like what a person who thinks they're intelligent would ask, right?
Right. That's like what the guy like. If a guy that never gets to ask questions or has never been to a boxing, like is not part of boxing media, is like, oh, if I got to ask, I would be saying it was like one of those things. And he decided to grow a fucking sack that day.
Yeah, and how about some fucking facts here? Jake Paul is 27 years old. Jake Paul started boxing at the age of 21 or 22. He first laced up a pair of gloves, I believe the end of 2017, and he first started training for a fight in January or February 2018. So 6 years ago, this guy ever put on gloves for the first time. He did a white-collar boxing match, then a year and a half later, did a pro YouTube boxing match against a guy called Anisong Gibb. He then proceeded... So by the time he was boxing at any sort of a high level, 2020, we're talking 4 years ago, when this guy started competing at any sort of a level. And they're going, well, what kind of real contender? When are you going to fight a real contender? Who would ask a 4-year novice? When are you going to fight a real contender? And by the way, he did. His name's Tommy Fury, and Tommy Fury beat him. Oh, also, he fought Andre August, who is a professional boxer, I believe 10-1. He fought Ryan Borland, 17-2, professional boxer. He's fighting guys who are normal for someone like that to fight. In fact, he's taking huge risks against these MMA fighters who are there to win. A lot of these boxers, now this is kind of a cliched point in the Jake argument as well, is like, well, guy like Gervonta Davis, his first pro fight was against this Owen whatever guy, and all of these guys fought this, whatever. And I get that that's a little nuanced, but it's like all of Jake's fights until the Andre August fight were against live opponents that were trying to win. And every one of Jake's fights, there's an argument that could be made that he wouldn't win. Now, that's not to say that there was that was ever actually really a possibility, but there was always a way you could theoretically say he might not win this. And he's made continuous steps up. You go, a Nissan Gibb, YouTuber, first time, knocks him out. Now, watch any interview from the week he fought a Nissan Gibb. Every interview that week is going, well, if Gibb could get him out of the second round, and Gibb's got the cardio, and, maybe blah, blah, blah. Everyone was saying, like, Gibb might do this thing. Then he fights Nate Robinson. Now, if you're 5'7" and you play in the NBA, that puts you in greatest athlete on the planet territory. And theoretically, someone like that...
I couldn't believe that.
Someone who's 5'7" and plays in the NBA should be able to put on a pair of gloves and with 6 months of training fight a fucking YouTuber. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I guess he probably didn't train right, and Jake had been training a while. Jake was better than people thought. Jake knocks him out. Then he moves on to an MMA fighter. Now, yes, Ben Askren can't box, but he's a professional fighter who has a chin, who's fought great guys, who has struck with great guys. He can't box very well, but he has done boxing training before and has fought under the lights multiple times. He knocks Ben Askren out, and Ben Askren does have a chin. He just caught him with a good shot like Masvidal did, because Askren was never hurt before the Masvidal fight. He was never even rocked in his career. So he knocks out Ben Askren.
No. Didn't Cub Swanson rock Askren?
He never fought Cub Swanson.
Was it? There was somebody that rocked Askren, and then was Johnny Wall? Is there a guy named Johnny?
Robbie Lawler.
Right?
Robbie Lawler did. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, he got rocked in 2 fights ever in his career. He got knocked out in one. He got dropped in another, and he got submitted against Damian Maia. But he lost 2 fights ever in his career. Then he moves on to Tyron Woodley, who is a legitimate...
That was fucking nuts, man. That was nuts, bro. Go ahead.
He fought Tyron Woodley in 2021, having first ever put on gloves in 2018 when Woodley was the UFC World Champion, which he won by knockout against Robbie Lawler. Tyron Woodley was in Floyd Mayweather's camp for the Conor McGregor fight in 2017, before Jake had ever put gloves on in his entire fucking life, even for a fucking boxer size class. So then he fights Woodley twice, beats Woodley in the first one that was tight. He got dropped by Woodley, got up, overcame a cut. Then he knocked Woodley out in the second fight, short notice, blah, blah, blah. He moves on to Anderson Silva. Yes, Anderson Silva's 47, but Anderson Silva, in his current boxing run at that time, had beaten Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., the former world champion, and he had also beaten Tito Ortiz, who can't box, but he knocked him out in the first round. Anderson Silva was a serious boxer who was fighting top-level opposition in the boxing ring in that run and on a winning streak. He beats Anderson Silva. Then he fights Tommy Fury, loses to Tommy Fury. Fights okay, goes there. He earnestly makes an effort to beat Tommy with his boxing skills. It's not quite enough, but the fight was close. He dropped Tommy and eventually gets a split decision, whatever. He moves on, fights Nate Diaz, who's a tough guy, outboxes Nate Diaz. Again, that was maybe a step back in terms of competition. And then the 2 guys who he fought kind of to pad his record to stay busy. But still pro boxers.
But you know what, though? That's not... So for the 2 guys, in terms of like the padding the record thing, those 2 guys, they could have snuck in either one of those 2 guys as a co-main, maybe not a co-main event or whatever. They could have snuck in either one of those 2 guys in those weight classes against legit pro fighters with those records, and nobody would have fucking batted an eye. 17-2, 10-1 is the kind of like quality fighter that you would say, okay, this is a step up fight for a prospect. This is a step up fight for, let's just say, a Keyshawn Davis. This is a step up fight for, let's just say, a what's that heavyweight, that Torres guy? I don't know what the fuck his name is. These are fights that would be allowed on any other card. So the idea that Jake is like, oh, he's just fucking cherry picking. What are you expecting out of this guy? And to go back to that reporter, that guy, I guarantee you, I don't even know the guy. And most of these fucking guys I would know, like in some, I would say, oh, I've seen this guy around, or maybe I know his name. I don't know this guy from a fucking can of paint, but I would challenge anybody. Give me a clip of this guy coming at any fighter as hard as he came at fucking Jake Paul. And if you don't count Jake Paul as an actual fighter, that's fucking fine. A lot of people don't, and we can argue that about that till the cows come home. But that fucking reporter is not going to come hard at any other fighter and the way he did Jake Paul, he thought he was going to get that off. Jake was smart enough to just jujitsu that shit and just say, okay, so you're calling Mike Tyson a fucking gimmick. And then at that point, Tyson was on his ass. And then immediately the reporter didn't want the fucking smoke. It's a shitty reporter tactic. It's a guy that's trying to earn cool points, and he got fucking served up as a result. And I'm surprised that Jake handled it that way. But yeah,
bro, Jake is a smart guy. I say this to people, and I think if Jake heard it, he would maybe be offended by it. But I mean it as a great compliment. Jake may not be the quickest wit. He may not be like a verbal master, and perhaps we've seen him lose press conferences in the past. He's definitely got a losing record in press conferences. He's lost more than he's won. And the thing with Jake is that's not his deal. It's not the quick talking, the drive talking. He's not like Logan. He's not like, and there are guys who are not intelligent who are quick witted, like Anthony Taylor, who I don't think he would call himself a smart guy necessarily, my friend Anthony, but he would say like he's quick witted and he's quick witted. He's quick with it. He's the kind of guy who can speak quickly. And Jake isn't that type of guy just in general, but Jake is very intelligent. He's one of the guys from the Vine era who's still relevant. You ever hear of Cameron Dallas anymore? You ever hear of King Batch? These guys are gone. These guys are done. Jake Paul and Logan, his brother, have both managed to stay relevant in multiple different verticals. And I think it's down to their intellect and the people they have around them. And Jake certainly is no dummy. So it didn't surprise me that he was able to maneuver this in a great way and make that reporter look like a dipshit. Well,
speaking of that, so Jake Paul is actually fighting, I think, for the first time in heavyweight, in the heavyweight division.
Yeah,
right?
He's fought his last two fights. He was cruiserweight and he was way up at 199. I think he walks around in the 205, 210 region, but he's put on, I think, 20, 30 pounds for this camp. So yeah, we'll see. So
I'm going to once again take a very quick break. Last show, I fucking pissed in a can on the show. This show, I can't do that. And then pissed on myself a little bit and pissed on the floor. I can't do that this show. I have to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to make, okay, I'm going to take a piss real quick. We'll be right back. We've got a few more little clips we got to get through. So we'll be right back. I'm going to make.
And we're back.
And we're back from the fucking piss break. Yeah, so Jake's fighting at heavy now. Okay, there were some stills, some photographical stills that were taken of Jake this week, and there were quite a few comments on the physique of the old Jake Paul. We're just gonna.
I think he looks great. He's huge. He's jacked.
He's huge. He's jacked. He looks very. He looks very tiny. He looks very. Like a little fucking rock guy. He looks right. He just looks like a little boulder guy. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, obviously, this is a guy that's like in shape, right? You would like look at this guy, you say, "Oh, this fucking guy." You know,
he's obviously fighting in a heavyweight boxing match with Mike Tyson. He better be in shape.
Right, but like I'm just saying, if he was at the beach or something like that, and he popped his top off, you say, "Oh, this guy works out." But this doesn't look like main event kind of fucking, ready to take over the boxing world kind of physique. So yeah, plenty of people had some comments to make, and Tyson himself had some comments to make over here at WFAI. We're never sleeping on the news. We're always trying to make little bits and make little goofs and gags. Sometimes they work in the case of Ugas, sometimes they don't. So we put together a little fucking Photoshop rendition of Jake Paul with the fat bastard head on it. Very topical. All the kids know Mike Myers still. It's one of the main things that kids love. Who doesn't
watch Austin Powers? It's 2024.
Who doesn't watch Austin Powers? It's 2024. It's very topical humor, but there's a head of fat bastard from Austin Powers, and then you got Jake Paul's body under it, and of course Mike noticed this. He peeped this at the press conference. He must have seen Jake taking these pictures. So Mike had some comments to make about the physique of Jake Paul. I thought it was very funny. We won't have much to say about it, but we'll listen to what Mike's got to say.
I saw him with his shirt off the other day. I don't know if he's in his prime. He's fat. He should be lean and mean. He's fat and funky. I saw him with his shirt off the other day. He's fat. Did you start training already?
Buster Douglas was fat, am I right?
I know, but you're no Buster Douglas. He's not going to win. Look at, he can't even knock out Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is 40 pounds. How's he going to knock me out? What's the other guy? Anderson Silva. He didn't knock those little guys. How's he going to knock me out? Who did he knock out? Who did he knock out? Little children. He didn't knock out, never knocked out a real man. Come on. I can't even get mad at this guy because everybody know this guy's talking out of his ass. And stealing money. I'm up here just stealing money fighting him. Well, just come to the fight and you'll see. Listen, I started Jake off and I'm going to finish him. I don't know.
I love, first of all, how cute is Mike? How much of a fucking American treasure is Mike? How bizarre is it that he has a microphone that says N on it while he's fucking talking? Right? It just says N. All right.
Waving off the fight.
It's very, very hilarious that he's holding a mic that says N. All right. But yeah, that's fucking great, man. Mike is he's in prime form. Okay. He's crushing shit. And then, I mean, obviously the coup de grace, the fucking greatest clip of all time is when Mike says, and I'll just fucking say it flat out. Mike says he wanted to fuck Jake's ass, when he was 16 years old. So we will pull this up right now.
Indeed.
He said he wanted to kiss you.
That's so ironic that he said that because I saw a picture of him dancing at 16 doing a little dance on YouTube, and for some reason I had an erection.
And for some reason I had an erection.
Can you imagine being the guy, I don't want to say what type of guy he is, but the guy who's working in Netflix's back office, who sees this, they've just invested hundreds of millions into their first ever boxing event, and the big promotional video is Mike Tyson saying that he got hard watching Jake Paul when he was 16.
A 16-year-old Jake Paul in the world we live in today. And you know what? Nobody's gonna. He caught a little flack, Mike, but not in the way that like.
Oh, it wasn't like a cancel culture.
No,
crazy.
not at all. There is no canceling. There is no canceling Mike Tyson.
And how about this, bro? I think cancel culture is probably over. I don't want to get into a whole debate about all that shit now, but I think like the days of your career is finished because you said the N-word or something, or in this case, you said you wanted to fuck a 16-year-old Jake Paul. I think those days are donezo, bro.
I don't think those days ever existed for Mike Tyson, to be honest with you.